January 14th, 2020, this is actually the 20th, 2026 Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. Our first order of business is with a call to order, and we, within that, can approve the agenda.
So move.
Support.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. The third item on our agenda is the election of officers. Now, there are three officers that normally host this board. We're absent two. Peter, is there anything within the bylaws as it pertains to the zoning ordinance that would preclude nomination of either of those gentlemen for any of the roles?
Nothing that I am aware of.
So we have two individuals, although Mr. Coleman is,
Chair, I don't think you can be chair, president.
and he's an adjunct with the board, so he's already serving at another capacity. Given that, let's open it to discussion. Are there any nominations? I would nominate Mr. Coster for continued role as secretary, not as an official, just for discussion at this point.
No, to me, it's, if the current officers are willing to continue in their roles, I think that's appropriate.
I agree.
Okay, we'll keep it simple. We'll vote to push the slate forward as it currently exists, and unless the vice chair would like to become chair. Hearing nothing, I would assume that that would remain the same. That's you, correct, Mike? Okay. Election of officers for a 2026 docket. Kerwin Keene, chair. Vice chair, Mike Tarwater. Secretary, Carl Coster. We have a motion.
Support.
So move and support.
Okay. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All those opposed? Having none, that carries. So to our fourth item, we have the consent agenda. We'll take these items together. With the approval of meeting minutes for the last meeting that we held, which was November 19th, 2024, and the approval for the calendar dates for 2026 this year. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve, both.
Support.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Number 2 and through item 4, up to public comments. This is where the zoning board welcomes any comments to the board from the public on issues that are not on the agenda. Hearing none, we will close that portion and continue on with the agenda items as such. We have a variance request, which is supported with a public hearing. Robin, would you read the request for us, please?
Application for consideration of the Zoning Board of Appeals. Applicant Brian Bermania. Legend sign on behalf of Hall Sports Center. Project address 4020 West River Drive. Permanent parcel number 41-10-31-326-014. Size of site approximately 3.74 acres. Zoning LI light industrial. Zoning ordinance sections. Section 31.11, parent 1, 2 parts, and Section 31.11, Section 2. Action requested of the ZBA. The applicant is requesting multiple variances to permit the placement of a 50 square foot, 8 foot tall ground sign at or near the property line.
Thank you, Robin. Brian, would you care to address the public and tell us what the applicant is seeking and any other information to this request?
Applicant is seeking.
You have to step to the microphone so that your comments can be recorded.
On the base of the mic.
Anything?
Yeah,
That louder?
there you go.
Oh, that's loud.
Good job.
I hope everybody can hear me. Seeking a variance simply to put a slightly larger sign than a light industrial will allow, more height due to the topographical area. The reasoning was not, it isn't caused by the applicant. It's caused by a drop in the topography, the fact that a pylon sign used to be allowed until 2022 at that site. Now it is not. Again, I understand that the township's going to say, well, that's new regulations, and I get that, but with that being said, it's very unique topography. It's very unique in the fact that it has the rails or trails site going through it that pushes things back even further. And I don't see that it would be a issue with any type of line of sight, as the road is probably 50 feet or so away from where the sign will be. They are simply, the current sign is further away, further, I don't want to say west perhaps, because the road kind of runs a funny angle there, than the driveway. So they have numerous people that will go right by it, go into the neighboring business and have to turn around. I'm sure that doesn't make them happy either. So they're simply asking for a slightly larger sign. I don't think 50 square feet is obtrusive. It's actually allowed in most areas that aren't light industrial. And I understand it is light industrial, but that's not really what it's being used for now. Again, that doesn't matter, but I don't see an issue with it as far as creating any issue with visibility. I don't see any issue with it as far as height. The only reason we're asking for it slightly higher is, again, because of the drop. I think Peter said it's 4 feet. Sure looked more like 8 when I was standing down there, but I don't have that ability to measure it, or I did not measure it, I'll put it that way. Anything else?
Nichols, sir, if you're all set, we'll let you.
Well, I got some complaints now. So, thank you.
Thank you. And we will open the public hearing to anybody who has anything to say or request. Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Peter, in the absence of Elizabeth, I guess you have this to summarize for we three.
Sure. Some of you may recall this site from the former Scully's and Tommy's boat location back in the day when they were in there. And prior to that, the sign probably dates back quite a few years. They were allowed a pole-mounted sign. The pole-mounted sign actually happens to be in the DNR's right away for the White Pine Trail. As part of this application, that sign would be removed, bringing the site into greater conformance with the ordinance. They would come in with a ground-mounted sign. I think from staff's opinion, the change in topography, distance from the road right-of-way, clear sight vision issues are addressed and supportive of this request. And I think it's probably pretty close to the minimum that he could request for a situation like this. And I do not believe staff doesn't believe it's a reoccurrent type of situation where you're going to hear variances all over West River Drive for the same consideration. In fact, I think it's limited to the stretch of property between here and between 131 and Lamoureux Drive. So those are our general comments, but if you have anything else, let me know and I will be happy to answer your questions.
On my behalf, and then I'll entertain those of my fellow board members here. You package these as one variance with 3 steps to it. And so with the preface that they kind of run hand in hand in hand. Is there any way to break them apart or?
Certainly.
Okay.
There would be 3 under consideration. You've got height, size, and then distance.
Robin, do you have any comments, thoughts, concerns, things that you wish to share with us or ask?
Sure. Thank you. The grade from West River Drive to the site where the buildings are is it's not more than 10% grade in my opinion, and it really isn't a significant. When I read the initial information. I was thinking that the roadway is here, and then the site was immediately lower. It's not. It's a pretty slow grade. Although I do understand why you would want the sign taller. I do question, you know, if it needs to be that full 4 feet, and I'm not going to quibble about it. I know it's a 1 or a 0, so I know that you're asking for 4 feet, and that's what you're asking for. The second thing is that there's a Hall Sports Center sign on one of the buildings currently. It's kind of not facing the roadway. What I don't see in the request is, and it's probably, you're not asking for permission, but I just want clarification. You're going to put the sign on all 3 of the buildings, is that correct? On the 2 additional buildings?
No, is there a wall sign variance seeking?
No.
Are you talking about one on the wall property?
Yeah.
There's currently signs on them.
Huh.
We do have a proposal to put 2 lit signs up to replace 2 that are not lit currently.
Okay.
But that doesn't require.
I didn't see signs on both buildings, so one of them,
They have numerous, they do have one that would be a square box replaced with channel letters.
okay,
The drawings that you have, were the complete package that was submitted to Hall, is not necessarily the stuff that we were looking for variance.
okay, oh, I see, okay. I do think, as a designer, that the signs are great. They're very simple, they communicate exactly what you want, no more, no less.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
And I think that it's something that will actually dress up the site quite a bit. That's it.
Mike?
Just one question, the third variance request, to allow the sign near the front property line where the minimum setback of 10 feet typically required, and then there's commentary elsewhere about making sure that there's no visual obstruction through the building, permit review process and alternative locations being possible. So this third point is just given some flexibility for a final location that's still really to be determined. Is that?
Yeah, ultimately, the way the variance request is structured is if for some reason the 8-foot sign creates a vision obstruction for people turning right into the site or for whatever other reason, then they could be relocated along that front property line in a different spot.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Peter, is there any legal instrument for the existing sign to exist on the Rails to Trails property, an easement for that purpose specifically?
I mean, allowing it to or protections for it?
Allowing it to be there.
We would consider it an off-premise sign, which is not permitted in the zoning ordinance.
But the owner of the property, a la the state of Michigan, should have something on file saying this is an allowed encroachment of such.
I'm assuming, and I'm not an attorney, so I'll bear that in mind, but I'm assuming they are unaware of the sign being in there right away, or if they are, they have casually overlooked it. But just speculating in that regard. I suppose theoretically, they could require the sign to be removed. I would assume it would require an action by them of enforcement. Whether or not the property owner has a case on it having some sort of grandfather rights or adverse possession or something like that, I can't tell you for sure.
Okay.
I know their state has certain protections too, so.
Robin kind of stole my thunder in addressing or requesting about wall signs. Those are in fact allowed on all of the structures in the amount of 10% of the wall area. Is that correct?
It does, and it gets into how many tenants are within the building and how that's measured out. And then with dual frontages, I think they get one sign each face, but I have to double check on that. I can't remember right offhand.
Do you have any information on the size of the existing pole sign?
Years and years ago, I do believe that is 6 feet by
We don't know.
We don't, yeah. The proper answer is that I'm not aware.
I could have walked out there with a tape measure and got a width and estimated a height myself, but I still wouldn't know. So I did the Google measure thing, so.
You don't let me measure stuff at work, I do it like that, and it's always wrong.
Always be twice as big. Those are the questions that I have.
One more question.
Go ahead, sir.
Peter, I saw on page 3 of 4 of the staff report under ordinance amendment, the last sentence in that first paragraph, further, the proposed variance is not space of a recurrent nature, and an amendment to the zoning ordinance is necessary. I'm wondering if there should be a word "not" in there. Thank you.
In case I didn't tip my hand enough, I'm of the opinion that the ordinance is very well thought out and has been a non-issue for several years and years before that as well. I had asked Peter earlier about the separation of the height and setback variance. The height variance is of no concern in my mind because of the grade difference. But as Robin pointed out, it is a fairly uniform gradient from West River to the hall's entrance, crossing the White Pine Trail. So there's no visual obstruction created by or hiding it below what a normal sight line includes. It's wide open. Setting it back from the property line in the location, which would be, was it 10 feet is the ordinance?
That's correct.
Thank you. It's possible to do, but it would be sacrificing some real estate that the owner has currently for the operation of his vehicles. And lastly, while the size doesn't seem out of line, I would predict a land swell of variances coming in of this very nature because the light industrial zoning ordinance does not give a formula to craft the sign size. It gives a specific sign size as a maximum. So given the entirety of the evaluation and the fact that wall signs are still available to assist in the use and identification of the site, I'm not inclined to be supportive of the variance. Robin, you had a thought.
Yes. Peter, what is the size of the propane lane permanent sign that's been recently installed?
I do not know, but the property is zoned commercial, so they could ultimately go to 100 square feet.
That to me, that sign, which has had great amount of discussion over the years, is not offensive to me at all. And the 18 additional square feet, I don't think is excessive in this case, especially looking at the number of structures and the amount of parking for boats and trailers and boat docks and customers and whatnot. And some sorting from a visual standpoint, some sorting like a sign, maybe a little bit bigger than normal, might be beneficial to the customers coming in there. That's all I'm saying.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anything I have to add?
The only thing, I guess I'm focusing more on the existing sign and the opportunity to remedy what's probably a worse.
Well, there might be another issue there in that if there is a off-premise sign that they have a legal right to be in. Even, you know, it might stay, it might go away tomorrow and then come back Thursday. Because, yep, it said it was gonna go away, it went away, but there's nothing in the township ordinance that would necessarily preclude it coming back.
Excuse me, when that sign's gone, it cannot be replaced per our ordinance. Yep.
And that was my understanding, so my thought
a
is
cleanup.
if there's there's a benefit to the cleanup. So if there's a sign of size X, that's a non-conforming condition that we get to clean up. It seems to me to be the right thing for the property owner to at least maintain approximate size of the sign that they've got there.
Understood. Any further discussion?
No.
I'll entertain a motion.
I move to grant the following variances. A request for an 18-foot variance from section 31.11, parent 1 of the zoning ordinance to allow a 50-square-foot ground sign. A request for a 4-foot variance from section 31.11, parent 1 of the zoning ordinance to allow for an 8-foot tall ground sign. And a request for a variance from section 31.11, parent 2 of the zoning ordinance to allow a ground sign at or near the front property line. Subject to the following condition of approval, the applicant shall permanently remove its pole sign located on the MDNR property located at 3840 Mill Creek Avenue prior to the installation of the new sign. Based on the following findings of fact, the property fronts an approximately 180-foot wide right-of-way for the West River Drive and the MDNR's White Pine Trail, along with an approximately 4-foot grade drop to the 4020 West River Drive, creating a practical difficulty due to a distance and grade change. Number 2, the conditions of the site are not self-created by the applicant. Number 3, the strict compliance with the zoning ordinance standards, size, height, and setback distances for a ground sign in the light industrial zone district are unnecessarily burdensome in this case. 4, granting the variances would provide substantial justice to the property owner of the 3840 Mill Creek Avenue, and adjacent property owners. Number 5, the variances are not of a recurrent nature and unique to less than a handful of properties in this general vicinity. Number 6, the proposed variance requests are supported for those reasons set forth by the members of the Zoning Board of Appeals as reflected in the entire record of this matter, including the meeting minutes.
I'll support the motion.
We have a motion, we have support. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. We have a 3-2 vote. The variance is approved. That leads us to staff comments.
Because the board is regularly a 5-member board, I think it has to be all 3 of you in support of the request. If that's a concern or consideration, then perhaps you might want to consider postponement of the decision on this, but I believe it has to be 3 of the 5, not 2 to 1 on the request.
Where is that cited, Peter?
I don't know offhand. I believe it's in probably in the Zoning Enabling Act. To my knowledge, I can try to look it up real quick if you want, but.
No, the reason I ask is I looked, but I couldn't find it within our own publications.
Okay.
And so, being that it was not a majority vote with a 3-person quorum in attendance, the variance request can be postponed to a subsequent meeting, correct?
That is correct.
And because there has been no formal outcome as a result of it. And even if it were to be all
Yep.
inverse, it would be the same.
That's the way we've handled it in the
Okay.
past.
So we'll let the applicant convene with staff and figure out how they would like to proceed, when they can proceed, as more staff is available.
Okay. Perhaps you can make a motion to postpone to the next available meeting as a matter of record.
Aye, aye. Being that the motion did not officially pass, the board should adopt a motion to table this until, at which time a suitable count of board members is available.
I'll move to postpone until the next appropriate meeting.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Moving on to staff comments. Peter, what say you?
Well, nice to see you guys after a year plus of not having meetings. We are going to have one in February if we can get quorum for that meeting. It might have to be March based on initial responses. It'll depend on when Carl gets back from his vacation. Tom for sure will be out, and Maria is our alternate. She will not be available either. I am seeking another alternate, so we have another option. Moving forward, we're short one person in that regard, so I've talked to Cameron about that, and we will go out and see if we can find somebody who's interested in filling in from time to time. If you have somebody you can refer, have them apply, and we will happy to entertain their application, see what we can do. Other than that, I don't have any additional comments.
Robin, do you have anything you would care to share with us?
Nothing additional, thank you.
Aye, aye. Mike?
Nothing additional.
And me too. Hearing that, we'll bring this meeting to a close at 6:26.